Holy mackerel. We are here for a new year. Oh my goodness. It's 2024, man. What kind of crazy? I don't even know where to begin. But if you are just joining me here today, I am Angel, your local Bakersfield Realtor. This is the Living in Bakersfield channel. We're going to do something new this year. So every month for the year of 2024, at least, because I don't know about you, but I have a feeling this year is going to be a little rocky. We've got all kinds of information about the rates being low, the rates being high. They're going to do this. We've got an election. We've got all kinds of political drama that does affect the real estate market. So every month, I'm going to bring on my local real estate lenders that I use, my preferred lenders that I use, so that you guys can start to realize how smart and like gold they are for when you decide to move here. Plus, they're going to talk Fed. They're going to talk about what it would be like when you sell, what kind of programs if you're looking to buy. I mean, there's going to be so much information given to you every single month, every Tuesday, 11 o'clock. Here we are. First Tuesday, not every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month, of the new month, and we'll be doing this. So my first guest this month for January 2024, Dan Artis. I've had him on here before. He's got a ton of information. So we're going to talk about the market forecast for 2024. And then we're also going to talk about what it would be like for those of you that have that beautiful 2.75 rate and you're bulging out of the seams at that house. And you're like, how do I sell this house? So let me bring on my buddy Dan, and we can get started with this conversation.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Glad to be here, as always.
Just a quick introduction. Tell everybody who you are, where you work, and we will get going from there.
Sure. I'm Dan Artis. I am at Barrett Financial Group, and we are a nationwide mortgage brokerage. So I am the one guy in Bakersfield for about 1,200 loan officers across the country. And so it's a really cool place to be, actually. So I'm really excited about it. It's kind of a new direction for me as of 2023. So I'm
you
loving
and I
it
have
so
done,
far, and
and
they
Dan
give me a
and
lot of tools to work with, and it's been great. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Dan and I have worked on several transactions together through the years. One that just came up in my time hop was this time last year. I was sending all of the yay, happy home anniversary texts to Todd and Becky. So that was fun. So yes, we've worked together several times. We know each other socially, professionally. And you presented something last toward the end of December before we all went away for the break about some stuff that you shared at the board that really just I was there and I was like, oh Dan, you gotta bring that to my channel.
Bring the heat to the channel. That's right.
Yeah. So I want to just kind of give you the floor here and let you share what you shared with us at the board that was just about those people out there that have the low interest rates, they're bulging at the seams, what it's like for them to sell. Exactly.
I'm not moving. I've got a low rate. I'm not moving. Yeah. Those guys. Yeah.
Yes. So let's go for it.
So yeah, let me just share my screen and we'll just jump right in. No problemo. Okay, just a second here. And
you have access to it? Did I do it right?
And there it goes there. And then boom. And you should be seeing that. Are you seeing that now?
You have to add it to the, I'll add it to the stage. There you go. Yes? Can you see it? I've got it added to the stage. Yes? No? You see it, Dan?
I don't. Hold on. I jumped into my sharing too quickly, I think. There we go. Yeah, you can see that.
Yes.
All right.
So
let's see. Presenter, play from current slide. So can you see that now?
I can see. Yeah, I can see it. It says, can taking a higher rate actually benefit you?
Yes. Okay. So can taking a higher rate actually benefit you? So I want to discuss this particularly on Angel's channel because Angel, as we know, is a place where a lot of people look when they're trying to move to Bakersfield and trying to research Bakersfield, learn about Bakersfield and all that kind of stuff. So you have, I'm sure, quite a few people who own homes in other states and other areas that are looking to figure out if Bakersfield is right for them. But they also may be sitting on a low interest rate currently, like, fair amount of people are. Did you
Right.
know, Angel, that only 23% of people have a rate below 3%? Did you
Well,
know
you'd
that?
never know that at a social gathering. It feels like everybody I talk to, I've only got 2.75. I'm never moving. I've only got,
Exactly. But
3.4.
that's the real numbers,
You
is
never
only
know. It's only 20
23%.
whatever.
Yep, that's right. So let's talk about this a little bit, because I want to show you how it could actually benefit you potentially to take on a higher rate, to where it would make it seem palatable to go ahead and move at this point.
Yeah.
So I want to
Yes.
go into that, but first I want to start with a little bit of history as to where we are right now. Okay. So nowadays we are looking at less savings and more debt. So up here at the top, I don't know if you can see my mouse, Angel, but let me know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah. Yeah. You're good.
Okay, cool. All right. So here's our personal savings rate. So this is what people have in the bank. Okay. Now, this gray line right here, that is the recession that happened at the beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. So, like 2 months before the pandemic. We kind of got a double whammy there, right? We got the recession and then boom, right into the pandemic there in March, April of 2020, right?
Yeah.
I know everybody remembers that. I'm talking to the choir here. Okay. So at the same
PTSD, big
time,
time.
so that big little jump right here that you see right here is the first stimmy check. Everybody remember those stimulus checks we got?
Oh, baby.
So that's when the first one hit. Okay. So you can see that
When
what
we all thought
happened
it was
was
2 weeks, when we all thought it was just 2 weeks to flatten the
just
curve.
2 weeks, Angel, only 2 weeks. Yes. So yeah. So anyway, so this one is the first stimulus check that went into the bank, and then basically was spent, slowly, because people were locked down. They were at home. They weren't going anywhere. They weren't going on trips. They weren't spending a bunch of money at the restaurants. You couldn't do anything. You're just hanging out at home.
Right.
And so what they also did at the same time was they paid down their credit card balances. You see how the card balances went down, which is good. That's a good thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you move over here into 2021 and you get this next little bump right here. That is stimmy check number 2. Okay. Which was then spent even more quickly because stuff was open. I mean, you had to wear a mask and stuff like that, but stuff was open. So, people were spending that money. Okay. And then you were seeing as well down here, credit card balances were staying lower. Stuff still wasn't quite open yet. You could kind of see how that would be, that people would be keeping their card balances low, spending the money that they had.
Right.
Then third little one here is the third stimulus check that was spent even more quickly.
Yeah.
And then at this point, we kind of started to see that, people kind of liked that lifestyle, right? They kind of liked this extra money in their bank account. And notice how no more stimmy checks came, but the credit card balances continued to go up and up and up and up and up.
Dan, let me
Passing
ask
our
you a question.
previous all-time high of credit card balances, which was right here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that the dip of the balances and the last check received? Is that do you think that might be when everybody went, all right, well, clearly the end of the world is happening. We need to go to our trip to Bali. We need to go to Hawaii.
Now's the time.
Yeah.
Yes. What are we waiting around for?
When that happened.
The world, we're finally like maskless and free. Let's take advantage of it before they lock us down again. Right?
Yeah.
It's
I
sort of
think that might be
that mindset. You're kind of seeing it right here on paper, like how people were acting at this point, right?
Yeah.
It makes total sense from what we've all been through, of course.
Right. Okay, keep going.
So then we're getting to this point now where, as you see where we're at today, is we are a very low personal savings rate. So we're riding at about a 5% savings rate versus 10% we were doing up until the pandemic, generally speaking. Okay, so 2019, 2020, we were at 10%.
Yeah.
So we are very low on the savings rate while being extremely high on the credit card balances amount, passing our previous all-time high, which is right there in the middle of the recession, right? You see that right there. This was our previous all-time high. Now we've blown past it. Now, not to continue to make it worse and worse and worse, but at the same time, interest rates were about 14% on credit card balances here. And now they're around 22% for interest rates because rates have gone up as the Fed has raised the Fed funds rate.
Right.
So it's compounding the problem even worse, right? And then, of course, let's go into a little bit more detail that the average car payment has doubled in the last 3 years, which is now riding around $800 a month on average.
What?
17% of those are over $1,000 a month. I am shocked, Angel, how many people have $1,200 car payments, $1,100 car payments.
It's a car.
It's crazy to me to see that. But I see it that, remember back in here, cars went crazy, expensive. You go on CarMax nowadays and you could buy a used car for about the price of a new one. And this is why CarMax is having trouble currently.
Yeah, you know those numbers because you see what comes in when when people have to hand you all of their debt.
Yeah.
People say, "Yeah, I have a little bit of debt," and I'm like, "Well, what does that look like?" So I don't actually know, but you, being the lender, you see the numbers, and like, holy crap.
And the thing is historically, it's been. I've been doing this a long time, so I've seen the shift and how all of these car payments have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It used to be $300 or $400 generally a month on car payments that I would see. And me myself, I leased a brand new car for $475 a month, right? And it was $50,000 car or whatever. So that was pre-pandemic, okay? So now we're looking double that because the interest rates are where they are.
Right.
And this is just compounding the issue that people have, that they are just underwater on debt and don't have much savings. Okay?
And honestly, I know where you're going with this presentation, but can we just take a moment for that right there? The amount of debt that people have, I don't know that they understand the gravity of what that looks like. So, if somebody breaks a leg, if somebody loses a job, if somebody, you have a sick child, like a really sick child, and you have to take time off, that's talk about being underwater. You're like, hey, I'm a big advocate of no debt.
You're looking at hey, I don't bounce back from something like that very easily.
Exactly.
Keep
going.
That's kind of a scary place to be with, like you said, how 2024 is going to be a little rocky.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just excited.
No problem. So this just kind of gives us a picture of where we're at. So what, Angel, can we do to help these people?
Oh, do tell.
How can we come alongside them and help, and kind of what else is going on currently in the market right now? Okay. Yeah. Here is the average loan to value of homes in the US. Okay. People are swimming in equity. Okay. Because right now I'm talking to current homeowners, right? So 42% is the loan to value. That means that there's 58% in equity.
Dang.
So people have a large piggy bank, if you will, in their home right now as we speak.
123 Banana Street is sitting.
Yeah. So like you said, they're tight on those other things that we just talked about, credit cards and the savings being low.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have a ton of equity tied up in their house. So the average equity in the US per Black Knight is $231,000.
What's Black
Knight? The average amount that they could cash out being $185,000. So this is the elephant in the room right here. It's like, hey, this is an interesting little piece that goes alongside what we just talked about.
Yes.
Okay. People have a lot of money available. Now, another thing I want to talk to people about is, do you really have a 3% interest rate? Okay. This is to buyer or to sellers and buyers, right? People that are looking to move to the area.
Yeah.
If you've got a 3% rate, do you really have a 3% rate? Because remember, we just talked about credit card usage is way up.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a really good exercise to do with people. And I do this with people all the time. Okay. Because I have a calculator that does this, and I do it over Zoom with buyers and say, hey, let's look at this. Let's calculate where you're at on your interest rate actually. Okay.
Hold that thought, Dan. Hold that thought.
Yep.
For anybody that is watching, in the description below, in the link of the description below, I have put the way to get a hold of Dan, so that if you need to know where your numbers are, if you're thinking about selling, if you're thinking about buying, Dan is the man that you need to talk to. And in the description below, you just fill out the form and it goes right to Dan, and then you guys can have the conversation. So I wanted to just kind of like pause, make sure that if they're not just consuming this information, they actually have a way to find out what their numbers look like from you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And I am happy to do this kind of stuff with folks
Yeah.
so that they get the information that they need to make an informed decision instead of an emotional one. Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to know these numbers so that you can then go and say, hey, you know what? This actually does make sense for our family. I'm
Right.
glad somebody actually explained all of this to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I do. This is what a certified mortgage advisor does. Okay. That's a designation that I have, this is what I do with people. And I'm very low pressure. I'm more just like, hey, I'm going to give you the information and then you can figure out if this works for you. Now I want to show you how this can work potentially in this sort of a situation. So if you're kind of seeing yourself in this example, then buckle up because we're about to blow your mind a little bit. Okay.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, exactly. So with this, do you really have a 3% rate, right? So we blended their mortgage plus their different credit card balances. There's a Macy's and a Nordstrom. This is a fairly standard average American, nowadays. So with a total loan amount of $411,000, that gives their blended rate of 6.331. Now, this can vary for everyone, right? It's not always going to be 6, it could be 4, it could be 5, it could be more.
And this doesn't even include that $1,200 car payment potential or $800.
Correct. Yes, there's not even a car in here. Yeah, correct. There's not even a car in here.
Yeah.
So with that said, do you really have a 3% rate? Because we're looking at your entire picture of your financial, your total financial picture. I'll say it that way.
Right.
We're looking at your entire financial picture, not just mortgage only, because that doesn't do you a service. You want somebody to advise you on your life financially here so that you make a wise decision, all things considered, not just mortgage only.
Right.
Okay. So let's go through a scenario real quick. So I'm going to kind of paint this picture. So today's, so the borrower currently has a 3% rate. Let's just say that. Okay. Today's rate is 6.75-ish. It's probably a little bit less than that now, but when the slides were made, that was it. Okay. With the original purchase 6 years ago. So they bought this house 6 years ago for $500,000 and their original loan was $400,000 because they put 20% down. Okay. Following that?
Yep.
So estimated home value today is $695,000 because it's appreciated, about $200,000 there in 6 years. As we all know, the appreciation's gone pretty good the last 6 years. Okay.
Sure.
So the remaining loan balance that they owe on that 400 is now 343 based off normal amortization, paying their payments. Okay.
Right.
And then I'm going to remove the cost to sell. So that's paying the realtors. Okay. And then, whatever else, other little here and there costs to sell, giving them an available equity of $317,000. And then I'll take it a step further and knock off their closing costs for the new home, showing that their available down payment is $305,000. So that's how much they have available for a down payment on their next move up buy house. Okay. So we're looking at a move up buyer here. Go ahead. Yeah.
That is significant for the move. Like people, when people do their math, obviously 9 times out of 10, they want to remove us. That's adorable. You're not going to.
No, you don't want to.
Second thing is when you take these numbers out from airy fairy and you put them on paper on purpose, you can see like, holy crap, we can go forward. But I'm just like, I'm really like, even so you're doing this at 6 years. So even those that bought in 2020 and 2021, they're still not too far behind on these numbers, Dan.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yes. So, I bought in 2019 myself, and I'm realizing this kind of, appreciation even just since 2019.
Right.
So, I mean, anybody that's bought fairly recently is going to be a candidate pretty close to this somewhere, in that range. So the big thing that I want to show here too is like, okay, we've got $305,000 available towards a down payment. So what would we normally do? Right. normally anybody that comes across my desk is like, oh, okay, well, I'll put $305,000 because I want the lowest monthly payment. Lowest monthly payment. That's what I want. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to put the whole 305 down. I don't want to borrow any more than I have to, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Right.
They're very one focused on just the monthly payment there. Okay. So they put the 305 down, gives them a new loan amount of 545,000. The only problem is
they're moving
the
on that
monthly increase of $2,572. Angel, how many buyers, sellers, people have you had recently that are excited about that payment shock?
No.
Not very many of them. Yeah, not very many of them. So,
Yeah.
oh man, 2,572. I don't know if I can make that happen. That's gonna be too much, right? We hear it all the time. Okay.
All the time. Yeah.
And then at this point, the borrower is also reluctant to give up their 3% right because they accomplished that, right? That's an accomplishment for people. Like, man, I got a 2 point whatever, right? That's like a badge of honor. Okay. But the borrower does have debt. So let's explore that a little bit for this particular situation. Okay.
Right.
So here's their monthly deficit, right? This is how much their payment shock is. Oh,
yeah.
Just backed me up for some reason.
Yeah.
Here's how much their payment shock is. Okay. 22,572. Okay. Now the thing is they're putting a lot of money down. So if you see this here, they're putting over 35% down on this house. Now, people normally are going to want to kind of stop around this 80% because they're like, hey, I don't want any mortgage insurance, right? That's right. People know that about the 80% and when mortgage insurance starts. Okay. But the thing is it's still pretty cheap, even between 80 and 85% for mortgage insurance. It's chump change, really.
Yeah.
For most people. But with that being said, there's a lot of room here. So what I want to do is look at potentially taking on a higher mortgage payment, but knocking out the debt.
That's my love language right there. Let me tell you how freeing
what does that look like, right?
Yeah.
What does that look like? So drum roll, please. $286 a month as our payment shock. Now you tell me that's much less shocking than $2,587, isn't it?
That's less than the car payment.
Yeah.
That's less than your freaking, whatever payment would be, just one of them on those high balances, 20,000.
Yes. Now remember too, this is a move up buyer. They're, I'm sure, anticipating some payment increase to get that yard or that extra room or a better neighborhood or that gated community. Oh, who knows, right?
Yeah, right.
Whatever they're moving up to, you would assume that they were anticipating some more, monthly payment because of borrowing more money, right? So that's the thing is this is a really useful thing that people can do, an exercise that we can do with people to see, hey, this makes this scenario work for this person. And not only that, it gets them out of the debt they're under and gets them out of paying 24% interest rates.
Yeah.
Okay. And also gets them into the home of their dreams. So this is something where, Angel, this may bring out a few buyers that maybe wouldn't have come out for this to buy, right?
That's
not only that, this may be, yeah, right. And this may be the answer for some people that are on the fence about buying and whether or not we make the move to Bakersfield, whether or not we decide to sell and actually do this thing, right? Like, we've been so stuck with our great interest rate and, or just can't leave that. It's so hard to leave. Well, if you look at it this way, maybe it helps with giving you the okay to do it and make the life change. Right.
Well, and that is the ongoing conversation, as you know, with us realtors, is the term we like to use is inventory. Well, it's houses, right? So when we're trying to get more houses to loosen up for people that this is their first time ever buying, or they're relocating here and they need to get a hold of something, we have very few houses to show them. So for those that are
agents especially should be asking this question in a listing appointment.
Yes.
Hey, just curious, do you guys have a fair amount of debt? Do you have a fair, some car payments? Do you have some credit card bills? Some people will say, oh no, we don't have much debt. Okay, great. Well, this isn't for them.
Yeah.
But if somebody does, oh, yeah, we do kind of have a lot of debt. That's what's making it hard to like take on the payment shock, right? Because we have all
Right.
these credit cards and
It's
stuff like that.
it's exactly that. They moved in.
Like
Yeah.
light bulb, right? Like this is,
Yeah.
oh, hey, let's get them with somebody that can go over this with them and see if this helps them.
Right. And those people, those of you that might be watching from wherever you are, that you're sitting on the equity that Dan has talked about. You really do need to sell and move up or move out. We've talked about, there's a lot, I got to read the room. There are a lot of people that are leaving our state and they're moving to states where, the prices are just as high, if not higher. And they're like, how did we do that? Well, this is how you do it is you can't take everything with you. And you certainly don't want to take new debt or take old debt with you to the new house. So this is how you do it, whether it's the new state or the new house or you're moving here, you need to sell where you are. Like you've got to get yourself, it's like a clean slate. It's like, whoop, you get to start over. And it's really in your
Totally.
best interest for those of you that are thinking about selling, like I can help you with those numbers. And Dan is helping you with why you need to do that. It's really, really very, very important.
Yes, and I'm happy to do this exercise with anybody. Yeah, for sure, because this is the stuff that if I just offer this kind of help, I have plenty of business, right? I don't need to like drum up a whole lot of business because what I do is I help people figure this out for themselves,
Right.
and then they're like, "Hey, this actually does work out," and so I help people first. That's always my MO. Help
Yeah.
first. Okay,
Yeah.
give to get. It's a give to get mentality.
Yeah.
Okay. And then not only that, it helps me sleep at night, right? Because then I'm just helping people all day and it's fun. Why not?
True statement.
It's great.
True
So,
statement.
but here's the thing, Angel. Are we heading towards a housing bubble? Like, should we even wait, should I even be moving? Aren't we heading towards a housing bubble? Isn't everything going to crash and everything's going to go crazy? And, I'm going to lose 30% of my equity. And isn't that all going to happen?
Right. And everybody is waiting for that to happen. And we keep saying, stop waiting.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, it's not, because we
Yeah.
are in a totally different place because everybody thinks about 2008
Right.
when you say that, right?
Talk
Because
about
that's
some
the last,
PTSD.
right. Well, that's the last major example we have. That's rememberable for most people. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So no, we are not heading into 2008. We are in a totally different place, and I'm going to show you why. Okay. So
Yeah.
I've got some charts that are going to prove what I'm talking about, but
Let's
let
go.
me jump into the first one here. So here's all the different recessions back to the 60s. Okay. So each of these gray boxes is a recession that happened. Notice how each time housing has either stayed stable or has increased each time, except 2008.
Right.
Okay. 2008 was the anomaly. It was the one-off. And the reason for that, this recession was caused by the housing bubble.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are not heading right now towards a recession caused by a housing bubble. We are heading to a recession for many other reasons.
Say that again for the people in the back.
We are not heading towards a recession soon due to a housing anything. We are heading towards a recession for many other reasons currently. So this was caused by housing. And I'm going to show you why that is in a second too. Okay. So I wanted you to see this, that historically housing has maintained or increased in all of the recessions back to the 60s, except for 2008. Okay. Now, mortgage rates typically decline during recessions. Here's the chart for that. It's showing that when we go into recession, rates come down. And part of that is because rates coming down helps to bring us out of a recession. Okay. Because it generates activity, generates buying activity, generates people going to Home Depot, generates people doing construction. It generates more building and more builders working and more contractors working and more materials being purchased. All kinds of things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
But this just shows historically that rates go down during recessions. Okay. Now, if rates go down, do you think that adds to supply and demand issues or takes away from supply and demand issues?
It increases them.
It increases them. Yes. Because now more buyers come to market, right?
Yeah.
So is that going to help or hurt housing values.
Well, it
It's
depends on
going to help
depends on which side
them.
you were on. If you're on
Yeah,
the
now
selling
if you've
side or the
got 10
buying side.
people competing, right? You got 10 people competing on the same house. You think that price is
Yeah,
going to go up or down?
right. Or up.
Going up.
Yeah.
Yep, going up, just like we saw in 2020 and 2021 when it was crazy and there was 15 offers on every house.
Yeah.
You know, we're all still kind of nursing our wounds, PTSD from that, right, Angel? That was an interesting,
Oh my
interesting few years.
goodness.
Okay,
There's
so
hard to
here
block
is
out.
another factor that's playing in right now is low vacancy rate. Okay, so here's 2008. We were at historic vacancy rates for homeowners and rentals. So there was just a lot of homes and not enough people for those homes. Okay.
Yeah.
We are in a complete opposite situation now. We are low rental vacancy and low home ownership vacancy. This is why we see so much supply and demand in buying homes, and also why our renter friends know that rentals are hard to get right now,
Oh
and
yeah.
rental costs are high because they know that there's supply and demand on rentals.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where we are currently as well. So this is again the opposite of what was going on in 2008. So here I want to show you 2008. So this is a chart showing formations versus completions. So this is households being formed in blue. So this is like
New construction?
somebody getting married and starting their own home separate from
Oh,
mom and dad.
okay.
Okay. This is adults that, leave college and go start working and they buy their own house. This is divorcing couples that split into two houses,
Got it.
things like that. So housing formations in 2008 dropped off a cliff in 2006. You see that right there? Sorry, not 2008, but 2006 dropped
Yeah.
off a cliff there. Okay. But remember that the lending practices for the 4 or 5 years prior to that,
Yeah.
I mean, you could fog up a mirror and get a loan. I mean, it was we were doing 580 FICO, people with no assets, no income, giving them a loan, no problem back then.
Yeah.
Okay, 2003, 2004, 2005 was like the wild, wild west. Okay, and so the builders were building at a frantic pace. I mean, the most completions in history, right there, 2006. You see that?
Yeah.
So the most complete, so the most homes ready for people to move in right here, right? And the
And
buyers
then,
available for those homes dropped off a cliff in
yeah.
2006.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? So then you see like, hey, the completions kind of didn't fall off too quickly. So we had a glut of inventory for a bunch of years here.
Right.
Okay. Now we're having the opposite problem where the formations are higher, 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 all of
Praise
these
the Lord.
years past 2017. And the complete, so the formations are higher. So there's more people that need a home and there's less completed homes for those people. Okay.
I'm not surprised about those the formations happening in 2020 and 2021 when everyone was locked down. Sorry, that's just where my
Yeah.
brain goes.
Yeah. So, it's interesting to see the chart here to show, okay, well, this is why there was such a housing crash
Yeah.
back here. I mean, look at the difference.
Yeah.
That's a big drop off.
There were so many factors that played into that, like you said, one-off, that anomaly back in '08.
Yes.
That there's just and talking about PTSD, I mean, it gives PTSD because so many people that are buyers now know that pain that their family went through. So they're
Yes.
like, I don't really want to go through that because it was rough. So, PTSD is real, but it's also like the people that are now, buying, they're in their late 30s, they're in their, early 40s. 15, 16 years ago, that was what they walked through with their parents and their family and their, so
Yes.
they're very, very nervous. And this is why we keep trying to say, like, it was a one-off. It's not going to happen again. It's not the same.
Right. So that's the beauty of charts, right? Is
Yeah,
to
data.
show that we're not there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're probably not going to be back there anytime soon either.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the completions are not nearly at the level they were in 2008. Not to mention, since 2007, we have 30 million more people in the US. Okay.
Or in what fashion?
In population. So the
Buyers.
population in the US grew 30 million people since 2007 to now.
Okay.
So that just, further exacerbates the problem, right? That we have
Right.
more people that need a home and less homes for those people.
Right.
Okay. So that being said, we're not heading into a housing bubble like we had in 2008 by any means, because we're in the exact opposite situation, right? Okay. So let's move back to this then. So this kind of shows the chart a little bit differently. In 2007, there was 4 million homes in the inventory
God.
versus about a quarter of them that are right now.
Wow.
So that is
And that's
telling.
nationwide, Dan? This is
That is
nationwide.
nationwide.
Yeah,
So
this
that's
isn't just
nationwide. So
Bakersfield.
that's
This
how
is
many homes.
nationwide. Yeah.
Yes. That's how many homes are available nationwide. 1.13 million nationwide, which is about a quarter of where we were in 2007. But now we have 30 million more people in the country. Okay.
Okay.
So, but here's the thing. I'll take it a step further, though. That's 1.13 homes in inventory, but you have to also remove the off-market people that are under contract.
Right.
So the real actual inventory is 754,000
Even less
nationwide.
Yeah.
Currently. Okay. That's our November numbers that just completed.
Okay.
So that being said, there's not enough homes for the amount of people in the US. So it's a supply and demand issue, meaning that there are going to be multiple offers on every home, which is going to drive up the values of the homes. And we're not going to be in a 2008 sort of a housing bubble anytime soon. Okay.
So what does that look like for a buyer in 2024 now? What is this? What do we do with that now going forward?
We buy as soon as humanly possible.
And sell and
That's
buy.
right. Because the rates are starting to come down. What I've been telling people is we're on the backside of the mountaintop. Okay. So we were at the mountaintop where we were hitting 8% rates, generally speaking, there for a minute. We're not there anymore. We're coming down the mountain on the backside and going to be coming down even more. I'm going to get into that in the next couple slides here.
Okay.
So let's do this next one real fast to kind of wrap this part up.
Yeah.
So active home listings in the US currently were 754. Even back to January 2017, we were just about double active home listings in 2017. So we are in a crunch as far as inventory currently. Okay? Now, here's the thing. People often say, hey, but prices were up in 2020 and 2021. Doesn't that mean there's a crash coming up? Like, we had huge years those 2 years. There's got to be a crash that comes up.
Right.
Well, the thing is you're betting against the champ. Okay. You're betting against real estate, which has a 73-7-1 record since 1941. Okay. So we look at history. 1943 to 1947, the prices went up 118% combined. Okay. Anybody in that area would have been like, oh, the crash is coming anytime soon. Well, the prices went higher for 43 straight more years. Okay.
Yeah.
Then in 1974 through 1979, the prices compounded 93%. Then prices went higher for 10 years before only going down 1% in 1990.
Dang.
Then another 14 consecutive positive years. Okay. And then everyone focuses on 2007 through 2011.
Right.
That didn't go down that much. If you look at it, all things considered, I mean, there was other months that went up huge amount, and this went down a pretty small amount in comparison.
Even if you weigh like how far it dropped, it's still higher than what it. Yeah, I get it.
See, so really, you have to remember that was an anomaly, right? There was record completions and a really low amount of people coming to market that wanted to buy.
Yeah.
Okay. So with all that said, you're betting against the champ if you're anticipating that, houses are going to crash and that your, values are going to go down anytime soon. Okay. Because it just historically has not been the case. All right. House prices turning higher. So here's where we're going. So this is this January. This is the next few months coming up here. Okay?
So this is the market update you're giving, or what am I looking at?
Appreciation. This is the appreciation based off of these 5 sources of the information. Okay?
Again, we're talking to sellers. This is the appreciation they can expect.
Yes, this is the appreciation of homes. So like buyers, your prices are going up, right? Sellers, your home values are going up.
Okay.
In the next few months. January is always a little low because the market's kind of dead in January just because
Yeah.
people are busy with holidays and other things.
Right.
Okay. But as we see, it's going to start picking up. All of these different ones are saying it's picking up the next few months. Okay.
Everybody. Yeah.
So, like I said, buying ASAP, right? For the better price, for getting in before the competition happens. And then obviously being able to get into a home even, because the competition, you're going to have 15 other offers. We're going to go right back to 2020, 2021.
And even what you were saying earlier, if they're thinking about selling, like
Yes.
if they're just seeing us right now, wherever they're watching, and they're thinking, okay, we need to make something happen by the time school ends or by the time March rolls
Yeah.
around, so that by the time we close escrow and school's out, we can move into the new neighborhood or we can bug out of California or whatever. So if you're thinking about selling, this is still really good information because this is nationwide, right, Dan?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Nationwide.
for those that are thinking about leaving California, this is for you because you're going to want to know that it's going to be the same nationwide, wherever you're going, Tennessee,
Yeah.
Idaho, all of that. Or if you're just thinking about selling here locally in Bakersfield and you want to move up, like you're bulging at the seams, you've had a couple of kids, you're ready for the pool, you've had a few summers with no pool, you're tired of that. Like Dan said, you're ready for the the HOA and the community and all that.
Yep.
You've got great information to be able to move to the new location, zip code, whatever, and start fresh with paying off your debt and that mortgage payment. I think this is gold information for anybody that is thinking about actually selling to buy, selling to leave, or buying for the first time. This is really, really good, no matter where they're at, right? No, not just
Yes.
California.
Yes, correct. Yes, because this is nationwide numbers. Right.
Mhm.
Now it's going to vary per zip code, right? Here and there, depending on which markets are hotter than others and things like that. But
Right.
that's nationally an average, right?
Yeah.
Of what we're expecting on the national level.
Mhm.
So let's get into the forecast. Let's get into the good stuff. Okay.
This is the market forecast for 2024.
2024 market rate forecast. So the 30-year fixed mortgages, we're anticipating somewhere in the mid 5% to high 6%. So I know that's a big range, but I have to take into account lower interest rates, investment properties, et cetera, as well. So ultimately, this is about a 0.5% better than where we are right now. That's probably what we're anticipating for 2024. Okay. Now, we're anticipating that to happen around March and April. We'll see.
Question.
Yes.
Is that when you're saying mid 5s to high 6s, that's where we are now? Or are you going to tell me
That's where we're going to be. Yeah.
do you know what we are today or where
We're
things
somewhere we're in the 5s, high 5s to low 7s, depending on the loan type.
Okay. And this,
Now,
are
the
you
low
talking
7s are going to be like investor properties, things like that.
right? But like high 5s and 6s is where we're at right now?
Yes.
That's people were losing their mind just like at the end of summer last year of like it's 7 and I'm like
Yeah, it's 7.
what if
It's
7 is
almost
the
8.
highest it's going to be or the like
Correct.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm literally, I have a loan closing right now that's an FHA at 5.75.
What? And was it bought down or was that just what they qualified at?
It was bought down slightly at a normal amount. It was not like, crazy amount of money because I'm not advising people right now to buy down their interest rates a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because why pay money for it now when you can get it for free in a year?
Oh, that makes sense.
So in other words, people that are buying right now are likely going to refinance in the next year or two anyway.
Right.
Okay. Because appreciation is going to keep going up and rates are going to keep coming down. We're anticipating a whole nother % off in 2025 on the rates.
Okay.
So if you're mid 5s this year, we're talking mid 4s, hopefully by 2025.
Wow.
So with that being said, people that are getting a rate right now, why buy it down when you're not going to have the loan very long?
Right.
Because the whole point of buying down an interest rate, right, is to save a little bit more per month. But if those savings per month don't compound to the amount you spent up front, then it was a waste.
Yeah, you've got to offset the cost because
Right?
it's not free. Refinancing costs money, but you've got to offset that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend the money on the refi, but I'm going to earn it back in, 18 to 24 months with this lower rate. So you have to do that math.
People ask me that all the time. Like, hey, can I buy are we buying down the rate? Can I buy down the rate? And I'll show them the numbers on it and show them that I just don't think it makes sense. I think you should pay less and take a slightly higher rate potentially, because you're not going to have this forever, and you'll actually save more money over the long run.
Right.
So it's not a slam dunk that every time you buy down the rate, right?
Yeah.
You have to really consider all the factors of the loan, consider how long you're going to be in the house, consider, where the interest rate markets are. So there's a lot of things to take into account there instead of just putting somebody into lower rate. You want a loan officer that really cares about all those facets.
Yeah.
Okay. Really takes you under their wing and wants to advise you with taking all those things into consideration, not just, oh yeah, I'll get you a low rate, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, but is that really the best for you though?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think so. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to sell you just because I can get you a lower rate. I mean, any lender can get you a lower rate. I'm going to try to show you why you should or shouldn't get a lower rate, which one benefits you better.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay. 10-year treasury, 3% to 4.4%. We're currently in the low fours there on the treasury. So that's, return to more normal spreads could cause mortgage rates to drop further. The treasury, as long as they can get more of the 10-year notes off of the Fed's balance sheet, that's going to help us. There's a lot of high-end mortgagees there, but needless to say, we want the Fed to get their balance sheet under control. That's going to be helpful for rates. Okay. So next, inventory is going to remain tight. Okay. We're seeing how inventory is going down since 2013, and like we've already been over, it's just going to remain tight. Okay. So we're going to be staying in that situation. Okay. Household formations should still outpace completions. So we're still in that issue where we're not building enough homes. Okay. The builders are not keeping up with demand for homes.
I was clapping because I'm happy for family formations, that people aren't, just poo-pooing marriage and family. Like, no, keep going.
Yes. Oh yeah.
The housing situation will work itself out, but you gotta, go forward and make a family.
Yes. Correct.
Make all the kids.
Yep. Correct. So then as far as the real estate forecast, we're forecasting nationwide appreciation from 4.5% to 5%. I'm thinking our local market is probably in the 4% range, but we'll see. That's what I'm thinking as far as locally. That was, I pulled that in 93309, 93311, 93312 is high threes, like 3.9, 3.78, 3, somewhere in there for our local appreciation amount.
Wow.
Okay. Now, we've also appreciated significantly in the last few years, so maybe it's just slowing a little bit. But generally speaking, nationwide, the average is going to be 4.5% to 5%. Okay. Transaction volume should be up 15 to 20%. So we are going to see a bump up in transactions. And especially Angel and I, we're going to see a bump up because there are less agents that are still in the business, and the lenders have about cut in half, actually, that are still in the business. It's been a rough few years for lenders, but at the same time, we're only about half the lenders left. So all of us are going to get busy. We'll just say that. Now, one other thing that I want to address while I have the audience, okay? The media likes to scream about how affordability is really terrible. Like, oh, affordability is off the charts. We can't, nobody can afford a home anymore. Well, it's not as bad as they claim. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So in 2021, sorry, excuse me. In 2021, $1,000 a month was a $240,000 loan at 2.875%. So for their principal and interest payment. Okay. So not including taxes and insurance here. So what the media focuses on is now that's around 1,800 at 6.625. Okay. Nowadays, because, the housing price has gone up a little bit. The interest rates have gone up, obviously. They're like, oh, that's an 80% increase. That's crazy. 80%. Oh, its affordability is off the charts. Nobody can afford a home anymore. Well, but you have to continue. You have to look at that based off of your monthly income, though. The monthly income is the place you should be focusing on, which of course the media doesn't, because, as we all know, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So they're going to focus on the bigger, more catastrophic number here versus really all you need in order to make up for this $800 increase is $800 more in income, which is actually just 20% of an increase. Okay. Now, incomes have risen per ADP. So ADP is who does a lot of your pay stubs. Okay. You'll see that on your paychecks. They say that their incomes have risen 15% since 2021. And if we get a similar raise again. We're going to be another 5% here in 2024.
Wow.
So, and if rates come back down somewhat, then pretty much our affordability problem is no longer there.
Yeah. Well, and also what you were saying before about, this is just one income, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of these families are forming and they're used to living on two incomes. Um, that also increases things. So
Yes.
yeah, I get it.
Yep.
Mhm.
So anyway, that just sort of, goes against what the media is, kind of barking about, right? Is that, really incomes are, incomes are increasing. So it should help with the affordability issues, especially as rates start to go down here.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there too, that the affordability is not nearly as bad as the media would make it out to be. Okay.
Yeah,
So
no, and this is just so vital for so many reasons. For sellers, for sure, 100%. Sellers need to understand like that and I say sellers, but like people that want to sell and move up,
right.
that they are just in a position even more prime than maybe what they hadn't even considered. And then
Yep.
for those that are willing to buy, like you've laid it out so beautifully that like you can afford a house. I say this all the time in my videos, and I say this all the time just to clients that I talk to is like, it might not be your forever house, but you'll be in the market. Once you're in the real estate market, your first house or your second house, your whatever, you very rarely step out because you know the
Yeah.
value of home ownership. So like it doesn't have to be your forever house. And the numbers that you were talking about and the interest rates and whatnot, so in 2025, if you buy in early 2024, you could potentially move at the end of 2025 into 26. So like if you start to look at things in like a 2-year or 3-year window, you can
Yep.
start to take baby steps of getting yourself and your family into the real estate market. If you're moving from Southern California and you just cannot afford, like you were sharing before, the rental market, you think it's hard here in Bakersfield. In Southern California, it's crackers. So for the
Really.
people that
Yeah.
are in Southern California that want to move here and are thinking like, do I rent
Yeah.
there? Like, no, buy here because
Yeah.
you can't afford where you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you.
Well, and you just think like, hey, you need to be a homeowner because then this appreciation is what you are going to be realizing in your house.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Yes. I
know,
love it.
I'm just saying, like anybody that owned a home before 2019, is realizing that man, they are glad they bought something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember, don't bet against the champ,
Well, and I
right?
always say
Don't
like,
bet against the champ.
yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
this is a clear statement. I say it all the time. Do not wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait.
Yeah.
And
And everybody always gets on realtors like, oh, of course it's always the right time to buy. You're a realtor trying to sell me a house. No, 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 but it actually is the right time to buy. It always is. Because you don't bet against the champ again, right?
yeah, this is great. Thank you so much for being here, Dan, and sharing all of this
Of
with.
course.
So for anybody that is still watching, I appreciate you guys being here. We have, yes, here's Dan, all of Dan's information. The link to contact him is in the description below. We will be here again, not Dan and I have a different lender that is coming on the first Tuesday of the month. We will be here to go over the market, to talk about why you need to buy, why you need to sell, and why you need to move to Bakersfield and call this place home. Dan,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you and the time that you took to put this together and to just baby step us all the way through this. Thank you so, so much. And
Absolutely.
I will see you, Mr. Around Town. But then thank you for those that are watching. We'll see you around town.
Bye, everybody.